Shannon Horry and Antonio Mora, sharing the stories of South Florida on CBS 4 News. It's here, the Doctor's Anti-Aging Edition.
Can we unlock the fountain of youth?
Absolutely. Add 20 years to your life and look 20 years younger.
You're only as young as your oldest part.
From the 10 things in your kitchen that can reverse aging.
Rub it on your face.
To turning the clock back on your aging organs.
Your insides sometimes are older than your outside.
On the Doctors. Today at 3 on 4. Brought to you by these sponsors.
We now join our program in progress.
And rattling, but so far, no obvious problems with the brakes, tires, or engines. We're back in 2 minutes. This is Up to the Minute.
When America coughs, America has Delsum, the only cough liquid that controls a cough for 12 full hours. So have a good day, America.
Thank you, Delsum.
Or have a good night, America. With Delsum, the only 12-hour cough reliever.
Yeah, thank you, Delsum.
Delsum, America's only 12-hour cough liquid.
Attention, all Medicare beneficiaries who need assistance getting around their homes. There is a Medicare benefit that may qualify you for a new power chair or scooter at little to no cost to you. Imagine one scooter or power chair that could improve your mobility and your life. One Medicare benefit that, with private insurance, may entitle you to pay little to nothing to own it. One company that can make it all happen.
Your power chair will be paid in full.
The Scooter Store.
Hi, I'm Dan Weston. We're experts at getting you the scooter or power chair you need. In fact, if we pre-qualify you for Medicare reimbursement and Medicare denies your claim, we'll give you your new power chair or scooter free.
I didn't pay a penny out of pocket for my power chair. With help from the Scooter Store, Medicare and my insurance covered it all.
Call the Scooter Store for free information today.
Call 1-800-313-2141 for free information. That number again is 1-800-313-2141.
How does Emergency boost your health and your energy? With a powerful formula built on 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C to give your immune system a fighting chance. Emergency. Feel the good.
Serious sore throat sufferers know there's nothing stronger than Cepacol to stop sore throat pain seriously fast.
I do!
In lozenge or spray, Cepacol stops pain fast.
It's 40 past the hour. With the economy such a mess, a lot of Americans are wondering how they'll be able to afford all the holidays. So it's no surprise that when Chicago area police set up a sting offering hundreds of dollars in cash, more than 200 fugitives took the bait. Maya Martinez from our Chicago station WBBM has the story.
This simple, unassuming letter was all it took to bring 230 wanted fugitives to justice. The mailers asked the addressees to participate in a survey aimed at helping local retailers determine the needs of holiday shoppers. In exchange for their time, participants would receive up to $500 in cash or $1,000 in gift cards. Dozens of people called in to make an appointment to take the survey, but when they showed up, this is what happened. Cook County Sheriff's Police took them into custody as they were sitting down to take the fake survey. Offender after offender fell for the ruse. Sheriff Tom Dart says some were even amused by it.
One guy in particular, he came up to me and he was telling me this was the best one ever. So I got the impression this was not his first time.
In addition to the charges they were already facing, some offenders even racked up more charges during the sting. A few had weapons, one had pot.
The marijuana was particularly interesting because it was on one of the individuals we arrested, and he informed us that He brought the marijuana because he was going to smoke it after he got his $500 because he was going to celebrate.
But instead of celebrating their newfound holiday wealth, that man and dozens of other men and women were taken to jail on warrants ranging from DUI and aggravated battery to a police officer to failure to pay child support, as well as retail theft and unlawful use of a weapon. Sheriff Dart didn't seem to mind at all being the one who stole Christmas from the criminals.
We tried to tap into people's Christmas spirit and then threw a big dose of the Grinch on top of it.
WBBM's Mai Martinez reporting. President Bush has less than a month to issue presidential pardons. One candidate is Jack Johnson, the boxer who a century ago this week became the first African-American heavyweight champion while also fighting the racism of his era. Now his family is looking for redemption. CBS's Russ Mitchell has more.
Beneath the December snow at Chicago's Graceland Cemetery lies Jack Johnson. The one-time boastful champ with charismatic charm is still considered by some boxing historians as the greatest ever to enter the ring. A piece of that relentless passion he brought to his fights can now be found in his family.
And here's another picture of him where he's kind of like clowning around.
Johnson's descendants are fighting to restore his reputation and his legacy as the first African-American heavyweight champion.
What did you call Jack Johnson when you were young? How did you address him?
I called him Uncle Jack.
Dorothy Cross is Johnson's great niece and his closest living relative.
I met him when I was about 6 years old.
Cross and her daughter Linda Haywood gave CBS News their first ever on-camera interview in hopes of correcting misperceptions about Johnson.
The only image that many Americans have of your uncle is Jack Jefferson from the play and the movie The Great White Hope. Was your uncle that character?
No, he was not. No, he was not. He was not. He was, because he was intelligent. He was very well spoken.
They also want to erase the biggest blemish on his character.
When it comes to redemption, what has to be done in your mind in order to satisfy you?
Well, I think that the pardon, him being issued the pardon, that would be probably the greatest form of redemption.
A group led by filmmaker Ken Burns organized a petition for a presidential pardon for Jack Johnson 4 years ago.
It's a great country is able to say, you know, we've done something wrong, we can correct it.
In May 1913, Johnson was convicted and sentenced to a year in prison for violating the Mann Act, a law which prohibited the transportation of white women across state lines for prostitution. At the time, Johnson was traveling with a white woman who later became his wife.
We were led to believe that he really did commit this infraction.
Johnson fled the country, but voluntarily returned to serve his sentence in 1920.
And the story of Jack Johnson transcends race. It's about a guy who decided to live his life to the fullest, to be a man.
Jack Johnson took orders from no one.
Burns says that was the message of his 2005 documentary, Unforgivable Blackness. The film chronicles Johnson's historic 1908 fight against Tommy Burns to win the heavyweight title and examines why he became a target of federal prosecutors.
He was going to rise as far as he ever wanted to rise, and he was going to sleep with whomever he wanted. In this case, it included white women, and that was intolerable.
Burns has even made the case directly to the president.
And he seemed open, at least, to the possibility, but we never heard a single word from the Justice Department.
In a statement to CBS News, the Justice Department said, "We received the petition regarding Mr. Johnson in July of 2004, and no presidential action has been taken." Some oppose the Johnson pardon on moral grounds. FBI files indicate he may have fixed fights and may have beat his wife. Attorney John Siegel, who wrote the pardon petition, says that's not the point.
Jack Johnson, as I've read the history, was no saint, and nobody is asking for a pardon to sanctify him.
The House of Representatives has already approved a resolution encouraging President Bush to grant Johnson a pardon. Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead this morning, how just 7 pounds can dramatically affect your life. We'll have the new health study that shows exactly what happens to you when you tack on just a few extra pounds.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us for their Medicare supplement insurance. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus, we'll include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say. Sign me up.
Call now, 1-800-531-5866, and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now, 1-800-531-5866, and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
Food stamps, once a sign of poverty, now a sign of the times. And who's using them today will surprise you. Tonight on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
It's the biggest singing competition to hit morning television. One song, one chance, one catch. You have to sing with your family. The Early Show Singing Family Face-Off. For your shot at stardom, watch The Early Show and log on to earlyshow.cbsnews.com for details.
The biggest names in politics face the nation with Bob Schieffer Sundays.
Top stories now on Up to the Minute. A search is underway in the Dallas area for a man who opened fire during rush hour on several vehicles, killing 2 motorists and injuring 2 others. Investigators say a bumping and rattling sound was heard on a Continental Airlines plane that veered off a runway and crashed at Denver International Airport on Saturday. The sound began 41 seconds after the plane started down the runway. 4 seconds later, a crew member called for the takeoff to be aborted. And the Food and Drug Administration is warning against 28 weight loss products you might be tempted to try after the holidays. The FDA says they contain unlisted ingredients, including powerful appetite-suppressing drugs and a suspected carcinogen. This morning, 200 miles above the Earth, the U.S. and Russia joined forces. An American astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut teamed up to perform a 6-hour spacewalk at the International Space Station. They needed to install a probe and do some maintenance work. Other than a snag with one experiment, it was considered a success. For years, we've been told that you can still be healthy even if you're slightly heavy. With nearly 190 million Americans now considered overweight, it seemed like good news. But now new research shows that when it comes to raising your risk of heart failure, every extra pound counts. CBS's Bill Whitaker has more.
Felipe Marotti works to keep the weight off. He was surprised to hear today's report that just a few extra pounds can weigh heavily on the heart and dramatically boost the risk of heart failure.
If you're 10 pounds overweight, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
But you should. The findings of this major national study, analyzing 2 decades of data tracking the health of more than 21,000 middle-aged American men, all of them doctors, are a sobering jolt for all men.
Not obese, but just being overweight increases the risk of heart failure by 49%.
For example, take an average man 5 foot 10 inches tall. As the scale goes up, so does his risk of heart disease, even if he's only modestly overweight, between 174 and 208 pounds. For every 7 pounds our modestly overweight 5 foot 10 inch man packs on, he raises his risk of heart failure by a full 11%. There is some good news in all of this. Researchers found that even a little bit of exercise, enough to break a sweat just 1 to 3 times a month, can reduce your chance of heart failure by 18%.
If you're lean and active, your risk of heart failure would be the lowest. And if you're obese and inactive, it would be the highest.
The bottom line is you have to make time for exercise.
Especially at this time of year when Americans are eating the most. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
There's a new warning for Americans looking to take a shortcut to weight loss. The FDA has listed more than 25 weight loss products to avoid because they contain ingredients that aren't labeled and could cause serious health problems. Many of these products claim to be natural or contain herbal ingredients. Experts recommend clearing any supplement with your doctor before taking it, even if it looks harmless. Is the King of Pop on his deathbed? There's a new report that the health of the superstar and tabloid target Michael Jackson is in serious jeopardy. CBS's Richard Roth has a story from London.
As one journalist recently put it, rumors are all anyone hears about Michael Jackson these days. And the current report comes from a writer working on a Jackson biography. Quoted in Britain's Daily Express, the writer says Jackson may now be fighting for his life, ill with a rare lung condition, in need of a transplant, but too weak to undergo surgery. There's no public comment from Jackson's official spokeswoman. The singer's brother has simply said it's not a good time and Jackson's not doing so well. 26 years after Thriller, the album is still the best-selling record of all time, but Jackson long ago lost his stature as the king of pop.
He's the ultimate showman, or was. You know, we're talking in the league of, I think, Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley. He will go down as one of those people, but there's a sad sort of tinge, because what people remember are the court cases, the ill-advised publicity deals.
And the oddities. The mask was always one hint he was worried about his health. The current claim is that his lung condition has left him so weak he can barely speak. Acquitted at his trial 3 years ago of accusations of child abuse, Jackson's never shaken whispered charges of drug or alcohol abuse. Money problems forced him out of his personal theme park Neverland, where he used to play with a chimpanzee named Bubbles. But ill health was said to be the reason he avoided a recent court date in a big money lawsuit. The claim now is that excuse was legitimate. Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
Now a look at your Tuesday morning weather. The latest satellite picture shows skies are gray from the lower Mississippi Valley all the way through the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Meanwhile, it's clear along the eastern seaboard, while out west, clouds are thinning after Monday's storms. Later today, the western half of the country will see some sunshine before the next wave of storms rolls in. Bands of light snow will develop across a good portion of the plains and Midwest, and it could get icy across parts of the Ohio Valley. The East Coast will be dry and cold, but not nearly as windy as it was on Monday.
So, where are the kids? The baby was down when I got here, and the 4-year-old conked out as soon as I read to him. Case? Hang on. Some people are doorways. What are you doing, Maddie?
He wants to be born now.
Case, there's something wrong with your eye.
One iris is a different color than the other, which occasionally happens when you're dealing with twins.
I'm an only child.
Hey, all right?
Am I a twin, Dad?
He died when you were both in the womb.
Your mother never told you, but I knew. By living, you denied it entry into our world.
Do you think it's possible to be haunted by someone who's never even born? What's happening to me is real.
Get out of here! Go!
It's not safe to be around me.
How do I stop it?
And this is the video record of the exorcism of Casey Belden.
You sure you want to go through this? Just want this to be over.
Unborn.
Mom?
Rated PG-13. In theaters Friday, January 9th.
CBS's Seth Doane has been traveling the country for most of the past year, telling the stories of struggling American families. This past spring, he introduced us to one family in Gloucester, Massachusetts, who were forced to go to a food bank to make ends meet. He recently returned for an update, hoping things had gotten better.
I didn't know how bad things had gone until I can see how good things are now.
It's been a rough year for Lisa Castellucci.
God is great, God is good.
Her husband David says they were at rock bottom.
I look back and say, thank God.
Really?
You know, because, man, I thought we were going to lose a house. I thought we were going to lose everything.
So this building here was the family business.
Yeah.
When we first met them in March, they'd already lost their business. David had been out of work for 5 months, and the family was tens of thousands of dollars in debt.
I mean, it was humbling for me to get food stamps. Humbling. I thought only really poor people need food stamps, and then I started realizing, well, I'm a really poor person.
They learned to rely on the kindness of strangers.
Okay, I'm allowed to come every 14 days first.
There are nights they might have gone hungry without donated groceries from the Cape Ann Food Pantry. But David finally landed a job, and months of hard work as a photocopy repairman, coupled with frugal living, have allowed him to pay off all their debt.
I'm enjoying it, I'm working hard, and I pay my bills. And that's, to me, that's the American dream. You know what I mean?
Pass the sprinkles, please.
Now that the Castelluccis are finally able to feed themselves, they want to give something back.
I think you got enough there.
Making cookies for the same pantry where they used to go for help. Why are you guys doing this?
Because there's people out there what is even poorer than us, and we're gonna like give back to the food pantry. Does anybody want a cookie over here?
Demand here at the pantry is up 20% in the last 3 months, and any help is welcome. While there may not be much under the tree this year, the Castelluccis know what matters most.
Everything passes away after a while. Every toy breaks. Everything goes out of style. But our family, we're not going to go out of style. Hopefully we'll always have each other.
A lesson this Christmas learned the hard way. Seth Doane, CBS News, Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Thanks for joining us this half hour. This is CBS News, up to the minute.
CBS News, experience you can trust.
Now on CBS News, up to the minute.
I've owned the store 36 years, and it's the first time I've ever had a Christmas sale.
Retailers from coast to coast are scrambling for every dollar as a lackluster holiday shopping season winds down. And a white Christmas is forecast for much of the nation, complete with power outages, sub-zero temperatures, and havoc on the roads. Good morning. From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is Up to the Minute. Meg Oliver is off. I'm Michelle Gielan. There are just 2 shopping days till Christmas morning. And if you're not finished with your holiday list, America's retailers have a deal for you. Sales everywhere, and that's not the only enticement. Many stores are matching competitors' prices, volunteering on-the-spot discounts, and even letting customers haggle down the price, all to get that cash register ringing. And with prices falling, a lot of shoppers are asking for and getting partial refunds on items they bought just last week for a lot more money. The reason? The worst holiday sales year on record. For instance, despite deep discounts, sales at Saks Fifth Avenue are down 5%. Trendy teen clothing store Abercrombie & Fitch saw sales plunge 28%. Discount retailers Walmart and BJ Wholesale posted gains, but Kohl's sales are down nearly 18%, and Target down 10%. CBS's Kelly Wallace has the view from the mall.
Desperate retailers mean it's a buyer's market this Christmas. At Best Buy, more customers are getting better deals simply by proving they've seen lower prices at another store.
They'll just say, hey, listen, how much do you have this product for? Okay, they have it cheaper. Can you price match it? And again, we price match it on the spot.
More shoppers are doing their homework, but there are fewer of them. About 6 million fewer people shopped at the malls this weekend, the crucial last weekend before Christmas versus the same time last year.
A consumer who doesn't want to spend, and retailers who ordered too much goods for holiday selling season that really isn't there.
This is shaping up to be the worst holiday season for stores since at least 1969, the first year holiday sales were measured.
Give me a perspective of how much you cut back this year.
Probably 50% from last year.
And nothing's charged, everything's paid.
Right, yeah, everything's cash.
Hoping to gain an edge with cautious consumers, stores are extending their hours, with some Macy's open 24 hours between now and Christmas Eve, and some JCPenney's keeping their doors open till midnight. And across the country, the deep discounts usually offered after Christmas are available now. In York, South Carolina, owner Ronnie Bales cut prices by 20%.
I've owned the store 36 years, and it's the first time I've ever had a Christmas sale.
Rite Aid is slashing prices on holiday decorations by a whopping 75%.
Once you're giving away the merchandise at such steep discounts, there's not much more they can do.
But those pre-Christmas dramatic discounts can't overcome the biggest problem for retailers this season: consumers who don't have the means and aren't in the mood to spend. Kelly Wallace, CBS News, Paramus, New Jersey.
The drop in car sales is not only hurting U.S. automakers. Toyota announced its first operating loss in 70 years. The Japanese auto giant stands to lose nearly $1.7 billion this year on slumping sales, particularly in the U.S. market. But unlike its American rivals, Toyota remains committed to zero layoffs for full-time workers. Execs say they will cut production to meet the lower demand. Toyota is poised to pass GM this year as the #1 automaker in the world. It's looking like a white Christmas is the forecast for much of the northern part of the country, but that's not a good thing. The deep freeze has knocked out power for tens of thousands, caused extensive travel delays, and left about a dozen people dead. CBS's Dave Price has more.
For parts of New England, the battering has set snowfall records, with as much as 2 feet dropping in the past 24 hours. Eustis, Maine alone saw some 42 inches. The nor'easter froze travel, closed down businesses and schools, and sent snowplows and snowblowers into overdrive. Residents of Fitchburg, Massachusetts may have been hit the hardest, though, waking up to more snow and another day without power after an ice storm knocked out electricity 11 days ago.
You couldn't get any more frustrated than me.
You've been here 30 years. How bad is this?
This is the worst I've ever had.
Across much of the West, from Washington State to Arizona, a brutal storm has covered the region in as much as 29 inches of new snow. Blizzard-like conditions, rare in places like Seattle, forced workers to remove snow and icicles from the Space Needle.
We've been standing in this line, since 11 o'clock last night.
The bitter weather created chaos at the airports as well. Since Saturday, more than 240 flights have been canceled at Seattle-Tacoma International and nearly 700 at Portland International. And New York City airports are still struggling to get back on track after canceling more than 1,000 flights over the weekend. In the Midwest, bone-chilling temperatures well below zero knocked out power to tens of thousands of utility customers. Motorists were stranded and cars abandoned everywhere. And for the thousands of residents in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, relief and electricity can't come too soon.
I'm too stressed. I got my kids in there. They want to go home. I want to go home and be able to sleep on my bed, and I can't even do that.
Dave Price, CBS News, Newton, Massachusetts.
5 of the 38 people injured in the crash of a Continental jet in Denver remain hospitalized this morning, including the captain, and he may hold the clue to what caused the wreck. CBS's Drew Levinson reports.
Federal investigators spent Monday combing through the charred remains of Continental Flight 1404. An FAA spokesperson says the key question now is, why did the pilots abort the takeoff Saturday night at Denver International Airport? Something the NTSB says maybe only the pilots can answer. The captain is not available for an interview while he recovers from his injuries, but investigators did speak to the first officer of the flight.
He reported that the initial takeoff roll was normal.
But then the plane swerved to the left, veering off the runway about 2,000 feet from where it started its takeoff.
Did slightly become airborne in the same sense that an automobile going 100 miles an hour or so, if it hit a berm, it may slightly go airborne.
It's much too early to know for sure what happened.
But investigators aren't ruling anything out. They're looking at the engines, the brakes, weather conditions, and the pilots. The answers could be revealed here at NTSB headquarters in Washington. Inside are the so-called black boxes.
Voice recorders did pick up some unusual noises. Investigators found no obvious sign of problems with the plane's brakes, tires, or engines. They're moving the plane sometime after Christmas, but it could take weeks, maybe even months, before they know exactly what kept Continental 1404 from taking flight. Drew Levinson, CBS News, Washington.
A mostly successful spacewalk for 2 crew members of the International Space Station. Maintenance and troubleshooting went well, but one experiment refused to work.
And with the arrays
You're watching Up to the Minute.
A good view of Mike.
Need help? Injured in an accident? Call the law firm of Cohen & Cohen. We've been representing injured clients for 4 decades. Call 1-800-33-COHEN.
When it comes to your money, it's more important now than ever to make all the right decisions, but you don't have to do it alone. CBS 4 News has assembled a special For Your Money team to cover every aspect of our financial crisis and to explain exactly how it all affects you. We stand committed to help you get through these tough economic times with more information and advice on air and online. Count on the For Your Money team only on CBS 4 News.
It's here, the Doctor's Anti-Aging Edition.
Can we unlock the fountain of youth?
Absolutely. Add 20 years to your life and look 20 years younger.
You're only as young as your oldest part.
From the 10 things in your kitchen that can reverse aging.
Rub it on your face.
To turning the clock back on your aging organs.
Your insides sometimes are older than your outside.
On the Doctors.
Today at 3 on 4. Brought to you by these sponsors.
These people are fast asleep. And it doesn't stop there. Dr. Oz investigates night terrors.
Sleepwalking, sleep eating, even sleep sex. When does that happen?
Wide awake for 5 straight days. Is that possible? The video diary of an extreme insomniac. And a candid confession from one of our producers.
This is the most embarrassing problem.
Next Oprah.
Today at 4 on CBS 4.
From all of us.
To all of you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
From all of us. To all of you.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays from CBS 4.
It's 10 past the hour. President Bush made Monday what is likely to be his last visit to the Walter Reed Army Medical Center. The president visited 13 wounded soldiers and awarded 7 Purple Hearts for injuries suffered in combat. Mr. Bush said being commander-in-chief of the military is what he'll miss most when he leaves office, and that coming to Walter Reed reminds him why. KBR, the controversial military contractor that's raked in almost $30 million since the beginning of the war in Iraq, may be facing yet another scandal. First, accusations its then parent company Halliburton was given lucrative contracts, then overbilling, and later allegations of shoddy construction oversight that resulted in Americans getting electrocuted. Now, some other American soldiers say the company knowingly put their lives at risk. CBS's Armin Katayan has this exclusive report.
In April 2003, James Gentry of the Indiana National Guard arrived in southern Iraq to take command of more than 600 other guardsmen. Their job, protect KBR contractors working at a local water plant.
We didn't question what we were doing. We just knew we had to provide a security service for the KBR.
Today, Gentry is dying from a rare form of lung cancer, the result, he believes, of months of inhaling hexavalent chromium, an orange dust, part of a toxic chemical found all over the plant. At least one other Indiana guardsman has already died from lung cancer, and others are said to be suffering from tumors and rashes consistent with exposure to the deadly toxin. Made famous in the movie, Aaron Brockovich.
So that stuff, it kills people.
Oh, yeah. I'm a non-smoker. I believe that I received this cancer from the plant in Iraq, southern oil fields in Iraq.
Now CBS News has obtained information that indicates KBR knew about the danger months before the soldiers were ever informed. These depositions from KBR employees detailed concerns about the toxin in one part of the plant as early as May of 2003. And these minutes from a later KBR meeting state that 60% of the people now exhibit symptoms of exposure, including bloody noses and rashes. But Gentry says it wasn't until the last day of August 2003, after 4 long months at the facility, that he was told the plant was contaminated.
We would have never been there if we would have known.
A new internal Army investigation obtained exclusively by CBS News says the Army's medical response was prompt and effective. But even after a briefing today, Indiana Senator Evan Bayh says that KBR has a lot to answer for.
Look, I think the burden of proof at this point is on the company to come forward and very forthrightly explain what happened, why we should trust them, and why the health and well-being of our soldiers should continue to be in their hands.
In a statement, the company told CBS News, "We deny the assertion that KBR harmed troops and was responsible for an unsafe condition." The company says it notified the Army as soon as it identified the toxin. Still, some Indiana guardsmen say they only just learned of the risk.
Well, I didn't know I was exposed to a deadly carcinogen until 5 years later.
This is far from the first time the multi-billion-dollar contractor has been accused of questionable conduct in Iraq. KBR has been convicted of taking kickbacks, and it's alleged the company provided contaminated water to troops and sent workers to Iraq against their will. The company denies all charges.
And it's going to cost American lives, I'm afraid. I love my men so much.
But Gentry says there's not much he can do but urge each and every one of his men to get tested for the cancer he fears is taking his life. Armin Katayan, CBS News, Washington.
Still to come, finally some good news for homeowners struggling to meet their mortgage payments. Plus, it could be the difference in giving birth to a healthy baby. How doctors can now test to see if you have a premature delivery. You're watching CBS News Up to the Minute.
What's an emergency that boosts your health and energy? 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and naturally energizing B vitamins. For a boost you can feel, get a free sample at emergency.com and feel the good.
Serious sore throat sufferers know there's nothing worse than a sore throat with a bad cough. Only new Cepacol Sore Throat Plus Cough Spray has the power to stop both fast.
Thank you.
Only Cepacol stops both fast.
My lymphoma had not only come back, but it was life-threatening.
After I discovered I was pregnant, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
When I first found out that Frank had cancer, I felt like my whole world had fallen apart.
I went to one more hospital, Cancer Treatment Centers of America, because I wasn't willing to give up.
Being treated like a real person for the first time in 10 years, it was such a relief.
I feel like it's just like going back home.
My son. Our cancer information specialists are here for you day and night. Call now and they'll send you this free DVD showing you how this special hospital combines state-of-the-art medicine with unique therapies to give you treatment options you may not even know exist.
We as cancer patients, for whatever reason, have been dealt this kind of pain. But there is hope on the other side, and there is great life after cancer.
When mucus causes chest congestion and coughing, it can be a late night.
Here's mucus. We'll be up all night. And now, a word from Mucinex DM. Mucinex DM!
Mucinex DM breaks up mucus and quiets coughing.
Uh-oh. We're off the air!
And Mucinex DM lasts for 12 hours.
They need a new gig.
Mucinex in, mucus out.
Starting this week, the world's biggest stars. Intimate, revealing, candid, exclusive interviews with this year's Kennedy Center honorees. Only on The Early Show. When the questions are just as important as the answers.
Aren't you going to have to tell them that they just can't do that?
There's one place where the biggest names in politics face the facts, face the truth.
How bad is this situation right now?
Face the Nation with Bob Schieffer, Sundays on CBS.
Once a sign of poverty, now a sign of the times. What you don't know about food stamps tonight.
Top stories now on Up to the Minute. A search is underway in the Dallas area for a man who opened fire during rush hour on several vehicles, killing 2 motorists and injuring 2 others. Investigators say a bumping and rattling sound was heard on a Continental Airlines plane that veered off a runway and crashed at Denver International Airport on Saturday. And the Food and Drug Administration is warning against 28 weight loss products you might be tempted to try after the holidays. The FDA says they contain unlisted ingredients including powerful appetite-suppressing drugs and a suspected carcinogen. Japan's Nikkei index closed today for a national holiday, but Wall Street will be open and looking to bounce back from yesterday's losses. Alexis Christophers has more in this morning's CBS News Money Watch.
Mortgage rates are at their lowest level in nearly 5 years. Later today, we'll find out if that's bringing buyers back into the market when we get the latest numbers on home sales. A measure of consumer sentiment will also be released, and it's expected to be low. This has been one of the worst holiday shopping seasons in 4 decades. Many retailers have slashed prices up to 70% to try to get shoppers to spend. And in a last-ditch effort, some stores are staying open round the clock through Christmas Eve. Bankrupt Circuit City will be able to stay open. The nation's second-largest electronics retailer has received $1 billion in financing to stock merchandise and pay employees. The company filed for bankruptcy last month after sales fell 40%. Toyota says it will lose money for the first time in the company's history this year. That led to a losing day on Wall Street. The Dow fell more than 59 points, while the Nasdaq dropped nearly 32. That bad news from Toyota pointed to an even deeper recession, and that's likely to eat further away at demand for oil. Crude fell 6%, and a barrel is once again under $40. One product that is selling: Christmas trees. Many tree farms are reporting higher sales over last year. That's your Money Watch. Track the latest business headlines at cbsnews.com. In New York, I'm Alexis Christophers.
There's some potentially good news for homeowners struggling to make their mortgage payments. Mortgage rates have been falling. A 30-year fixed is down to 5.19%. That's the lowest in almost 40 years. So it may be a good time to refinance. But as CBS's Priya David explains, that could be a lot harder than you might think.
I think for now we should lock in.
Mortgage brokers are enjoying some unexpected holiday cheer.
Our phone volume has probably gone up by 300%.
And I get a great rate when it's all said and done. An inquiry every 10 minutes from clients regarding refinancing.
With mortgage rates falling to historic lows, dropping almost 1.5 points since Thanksgiving, the phones are busy.
What are you at right now? It's 6 1/4. You could get it down to 5.5.
Most calls are from homeowners like Lisa Snyder, looking to refinance their mortgage to get a new loan at a lower interest rate. On a $200,000 mortgage, a 1 percentage point drop equals $125 a month in savings. That's $1,500 a year.
Lisa is going from a 6 3/8 rate to a 5% 30-year fixed.
This is how much you're going to be saving at the end.
Wow.
$137,000.
But not everyone will benefit by the new lower rates. Brokers tell us only about half of all callers will qualify to refinance under banks' new stringent standards.
Come on, we're going out.
Paul Hurley has had an adjustable rate mortgage that he got 3 years ago without having to document his income. Right now, his mortgage rate is only 4%, but it could go as high as 19%.
I can't control my destiny.
But the banks will not refinance Paul's mortgage now because he's self-employed and his sporadic income doesn't meet the bank's tough new criteria.
I definitely feel trapped.
To refinance at these rates, banks want proof of regular income, a credit score of 700 or higher, and if the mortgage is more than the house is worth, no deal.
Well, the banks are really right now gun shy in lending to people who don't fit a certain criteria. So these people are actually left out in the cold.
So while mortgages are now more affordable, banks are making them less available.
And the savings on that.
Still, some will have more cash in their hands every month, giving a boost to the struggling economy. Priya David, CBS News, New York.
A new test may help predict whether pregnant women will give birth prematurely. Doctors say the new tool could help them prevent some of the health risks faced by both babies born early and their mothers. CBS's Terry Okita has more.
Hi, doctor. Like most expectant mothers, Regina Biscolio is worried about the health of her unborn baby.
One of the things that's most concerning is if the baby is born prematurely. There are so many potential consequences to that.
But according to a new study, a simple test could calm those fears by helping predict premature labor. It's called the LAC test and measures lactic acid.
In labor, the womb is contracting, and so that produces lactic acid, and that's what's picked up on this test.
There are more than 500,000 premature births in the U.S. every year, putting babies at risk of serious health problems.
Premature deliveries are responsible for lung problems, responsible for a whole slew of problems.
When a woman's water breaks sooner than expected, it's considered a sign she'll go into labor. But in fact, just a third of these women actually give birth prematurely. Researchers in Sweden used the LAC test on women whose water broke early to determine which ones were in danger. 87% with high lactic acid levels went into labor within 48 hours. Doctors say knowing this could be vital for treating a mother and keeping the baby healthy.
You want to give them steroids, kind of like the strong steroids, and it turns the baby's lungs on so that the baby will need less support to breathe in the ICU.
The LAC test kit is already available online. It's most often used by athletes to measure the amount of lactic acid in their blood to see if they're training hard enough. Now it could be a tool for expectant moms and doctors. Terry Okita, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now a look at your Tuesday morning weather. The latest satellite picture shows skies are gray from the lower Mississippi Valley all the way through the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Meanwhile, it's clear along the eastern seaboard, while out west, clouds are thinning after Monday's storms. Later today, the western half of the country will see some sunshine before the next wave of storms rolls in. Bands of light snow will develop across a good portion of the plains and Midwest, and it could get icy across parts of the Ohio Valley. The East Coast will be dry and cold, but not nearly as windy as it was on Monday. In sports, a bitter rivalry in the bitter cold. The Packers and the Bears in Chicago. The Bears needed this one to keep their playoff hopes alive, and it didn't look good going into halftime, down 11. But the Bears came roaring back after one passing touchdown. Their defense kept getting the ball back, eventually allowing running back Matt Forte to tie it up. Then, with just seconds left in the game, Green Bay trying to win it on this kick, but it was blocked. So to overtime and on to the first drive, the Bears' Robbie Gould was able to kick this field goal to win it. Chicago holds on to their playoff hopes. 20-17 was the final.
Today on my way to school, I run into some friends. They'll try to talk me into skipping school. I'll hesitate for a moment. I won't know what to do. They're my friends. So I'll join them. But I won't join them, though. We'll go someplace where we can hang out because that's soccer practice, and I love soccer. I'll join the high school soccer team. I'll start skipping school and play all over the state. My mom wouldn't know. My mom will be so proud. She leaves the house before I do. She'll come comes back late at night from work, and she doesn't have to work.
The days following a hurricane can be a frustrating and miserable experience. It can be even worse if your family's not prepared to take care of itself for at least 3 days.
The priority is not going to be getting food, water, and ice into a community. It's going to be search and rescue and security. So you may not see supplies coming in that first couple of days. So it's your responsibility to get your family, get yourself ready for that storm, and be prepared to be on your own for at least 72 hours with your basic supplies.
Get a plan. Go to floridadisaster.org today.
You ready for the holidays, buddy?
Ready for it.
All right, let's do it. From all of us.
To all of you.
From all of us.
To all of you.
From all of us
to all of you.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays.
So happy holidays from all of us to all of you.
Happy holidays.
From all of us
To all of you.
Happy holidays.
From CBS 4.
All new.
Does that look like leftovers to you?
We've got count 'em, 4 new recipes. And what to do with all those pesky leftovers.
How about that, kids?
Then, get in the spirit with 2 all-new performances from Tony Bennett and Harry Connick Jr. And for your last-minute Christmas shopping, Chef Rocco DeSpirito solving your supermarket problems.
What a shock your kids don't eat vegetables.
You are a genius.
Next race.
Today at 9 on CBS 4.
It's not the first place you'd expect to see modern technology, but now the Vatican is endorsing new technology that brings the book of daily prayers used by priests straight onto iPhones and iPods. It's called the iBreviary, an iTunes application created by a technologically savvy Italian priest. The application includes a prayer book in Italian, English, Spanish, French, Latin, and in the near future, Portuguese and German.
I suppose the church is learning to use the new technologies primarily as a tool or as a means of evangelizing, as a way of being able to share its own message with the world. And the new technologies have offered all sorts of possibilities to us to do that. So you're seeing globally loads of different initiatives.
Another section includes the text of the daily Mass and other prayers. The application just costs a little bit more than $1, with proceeds going to charity. This is the time of year filled with different religious celebrations. CBS's John Blackstone shows us how one group of spiritual leaders celebrate California style.
It is well known that Southern Californians worship their beaches, including some who are very practiced at worshiping.
We give thanks to the righteous ways and ask thy blessing on all the interfaith babes and dudes who ride them.
The service on the sand was inspired by Father Christian Mondor, an 83-year-old Franciscan friar, and his surfing buddy, Father Michael Munoz, a Catholic priest.
I'm not Jesus. And I need a surfboard to walk on water.
The blessing of the waves in Huntington Beach, California, which calls itself Surf City, USA, isn't so much about praying for good breaks as about giving thanks for the ocean and the pleasure it provides.
It's just you, the surf, the sea, and the sky, and one can't help but have a sense of God's presence.
There's no lengthy sermon at this service. No one here wants to waste any of the surf the Lord has given them. Particularly not Fathers Mondor and Munoz, both experts at quickly morphing from priests to dudes. The ocean off Huntington Beach may not officially be holy water, but to a couple of saintly surfers, it's close enough.
We're baptized in water, and so I can't help but think of that every time I go in the water. It's like being baptized.
And who better than a priest to understand that what the Lord giveth, he can also taketh away. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
This is CBS News Up to the Minute.
Accurate, dependable. CBS 4 weather. You can count on it.
Deep freeze. Temperatures dip as the winter weather turns deadly. New clues in the Denver plane crash. It was shake and rattle during the takeoff roll. And diplomacy in black and white. China dispatches a pair of fuzzy ambassadors to Taiwan. This is the CBS Morning News for Tuesday, December 23rd, 2008.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Gielan. We begin with the big chill that's making things miserable for millions of holiday travelers and last-minute shoppers. Much of the country is still in the deep freeze, though up slightly from yesterday's bitter cold. In Seattle, thousands of air travelers are still stranded by the lingering effects of the weekend snowstorm, and tens of thousands remain without power from the Midwest to the Northeast. More now from Tara Merchner in Washington. Hi, Tara. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Well, winter certainly came in fast and furious. It's been inconvenient, treacherous, and in some cases deadly.
Baby, it's cold outside all over the country.
Freezing cold.
A lot colder than we're used to.
Those who live in the Pacific Northwest are certainly not used to the weather they're getting. Portland, Oregon recorded 13 inches of snow, the highest total since 1980. The conditions have prevented hundreds of flights from getting off the ground, stranding holiday travelers.
When I got to the front of the line, they basically said that they were closing down and sending everybody home, and that they were really sorry. But there might not be anything they could do for 2 days.
It looks like there's going to be delays out of almost every airport.
Across the country, in the other Portland, Mainers dug out for more than a foot of snow. The town of Eustis got a staggering 41 inches. The winter weather is not just an